9 experienced hikers, a tent cut open from the inside. Bodies found in the snow, some barefoot, some missing eyes, one missing her tongue. The Soviet government buried the files for decades. What happened on that mountain has never been fully explained. In this video, you're going to learn 3 things. Exactly what the Soviet investigators found and tried to hide. Why the most obvious explanation doesn't hold up. And the theory that is quietly gaining ground among scientists today. January 23rd, 1959. 10 students and graduates from the Ural Polytechnical Institute board a train headed for the remote Ural Mountains in western Siberia. They're not amateurs, these are seasoned ski hikers, the kind of people who spend their weekends pushing into places most people never reach. Their leader is Igor Dyatlov, 23 years old, already a veteran of difficult winter expeditions. Their goal, to reach the summit of Oterten, a peak so remote that the local Mansi people had a name for the area, Kholat. In Mansi, that means dead mountain. One member of the group turns back early with a bad knee. That decision probably saved his life. The remaining 9 continue deeper into the forest, deeper into the cold, deeper toward that mountain. On February 1st, they set up their tent near the tree line on the eastern slope of Kholat. That is the last time any of them will be seen alive. Rehook. When the group fails to return on schedule, a search party is sent out. What they find will be studied for decades. February 26th. Rescuers locate the tent. It is still standing, but the entire front wall has been cut open from the inside. Not torn by wind, not collapsed by snow. Cut open from the inside, as if the people inside needed to escape faster than they could unzip it. Footprints in the snow lead away from the tent. The prints show people walking and not running, in socks and bare feet. In minus 30 degrees Celsius, the first 2 bodies are found about 500 meters from the tent, near the edge of the forest. They are lying under a large Siberian pine. They are barefoot. Their fingers are torn. They had tried to climb the tree. A fire had been lit there, then abandoned. They died of hypothermia. 3 more bodies are found between the pine tree and the tent. They appear to have been heading back toward the tent when they died. One of them, Igor Dyatlov himself, is found frozen in the snow, one arm raised, reaching toward the tent. The last 4 bodies are not found until May, buried under nearly 4 meters of snow in a ravine 75 meters further from the pine tree. And here is where the case becomes truly disturbing. These 4 did not die of hypothermia. 2 of them had massive fractured ribs. 1 had a shattered skull. The force required to cause injuries like that, according to the forensic examiner, was comparable to a car crash. But there were no external wounds, no bruises, no cuts. As if the damage came from inside or from a force that left no visible trace on the skin. And then there is Lyudmila Dubinina. Her tongue and the soft tissue of her mouth simply gone. Her eyes gone. The examiner noted the injuries were consistent with tissue decomposition in running water, but the ravine had meltwater. The bodies were found face down. To this day, no one can definitively explain it. Rehook. The Soviet government's response to all of this tells its own story. The official investigation ran for 3 months. Investigators interviewed locals, examined the bodies, studied the tent. Their final conclusion, printed in the official file, was that the hikers died as a result of a, quote, compelling natural force. That was it, no further explanation. The case was immediately classified, the files were sealed. Local Mansi guides who had been in the area were briefly detained and then released without charge. The mountain was closed to hikers for 3 years. A local journalist who tried to investigate the case was quietly told to stop. One of the investigators, Lev Ivanov, later admitted in a 1990 interview after the Soviet Union began to collapse that he had been ordered by senior Communist Party officials to classify the case and attribute the deaths to a natural force. He personally believed something else was happening. He described seeing glowing orbs in the sky over the mountains that winter, reported by multiple witnesses in the region. The files were not publicly released until 2009. 50 years of silence. Rehook. So, if it wasn't simply the cold, what was it? Let's go through the most serious explanations. Theory 1, avalanche. For a long time, this was the dominant scientific explanation. The hikers heard or felt an avalanche coming, cut the tent to escape, fled in a panic, and died in the cold. The 4 in the ravine died from avalanche trauma. This is clean, logical, and terrifying. But there are serious problems with it. No avalanche debris was found around the tent. The slope angle was too shallow for a spontaneous avalanche. The tent was still standing. Investigators in 1959 specifically ruled out an avalanche. A 2021 Swiss modeling study tried to revive the avalanche theory, and it remains controversial. Theory 2. Infrasound. Wind moving over mountain terrain at specific angles can generate infrasound, low-frequency vibrations below the threshold of human hearing. Infrasound at certain frequencies causes intense fear, disorientation, and even hallucinations. Some researchers believe the group was hit by an infrasound event so severe it triggered a mass panic response. They fled the tent convinced something was coming, and then couldn't survive the cold long enough to return. This would explain the strange behavior without requiring any external attacker. Theory 3. Military testing. The Ural region in 1959 was an active Soviet military corridor. Multiple witnesses in the region that winter reported seeing glowing spheres moving over the mountains. The same orbs that investigator Ivanov mentioned. Some researchers believe the group stumbled into an area where secret weapons testing was occurring, possibly parachute mines, which explode with massive shockwaves that leave no shrapnel and can rupture internal organs without marking the skin. This would explain the car crash force injuries with no external wounds. It would also explain the secrecy. Theory 4. Katabatic wind. This is the most recent serious proposal. Katabatic winds are dense, fast-moving cold air flows that can race down mountain slopes without warning. In extreme cases, they can knock people flat and cause the kind of blunt force trauma seen on the bodies. Combined with the cold, they could be lethal, and they leave no physical trace. Rehook. You might think this is just a historical curiosity, a Soviet-era mystery frozen in time. But the Dyatlov case is still actively investigated today, and here's why it matters. In 2019, Russian prosecutors officially reopened the case. They stated publicly that they were examining 3 natural causes: avalanche, a snow slab collapse, or a hurricane. They were not examining military involvement. Critics immediately noted that the most important possibility, the one that would implicate the Soviet government, was quietly excluded from the investigation. The case matters because it sits at the intersection of 3 things that are genuinely hard to look at directly: government secrecy, mass death under unexplained circumstances, and the terrifying power of the natural world to kill people in ways we don't fully understand. Every few years, a new team of researchers, forensic scientists, or investigative journalists takes another run at the evidence. Every few years, they come close. But 9 people died on that mountain, and 66 years later, we still don't know exactly why. The Soviet government called it a compelling natural force. 9 people dead, files sealed for 50 years, and that is the official answer. If you want to go deeper on cases like this, shitty where governments bury what they don't want explained, the story of MH370 follows a very similar pattern. Investigators who got too close. Evidence that disappeared. Official reports that don't match the wreckage. That video is right here. Don't sleep on it.